Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. I'm super excited to bring you another episode. This is the last episode of the year, and y'all already know we had to wrap it up in the best way possible by bringing my guy David Vardeman on the show for tonight. Everybody, y'all better be dropping some fire emojis, some hands clapping, something to show some love for my guy David Vardeman. And first of all, thank you, David, so much for being here for today. I think we have a surprise guest. You know what? Come over here. We have a surprise guest as well that we're going to bring it to the screen. And I didn't even share with you guys because I kind of wanted to wait till after. Come on, get over here. Hurry up. The fans are waiting.
No.
The supporters are waiting for you right here. So, everybody, if you didn't already know, I'm right here in the world-famous Imagine Studios, ran by no other. Come on, man.
I'm not coming in there.
Come on, get over here. Come on, get over here. Come on, we're live. Let's go, we're live. Get over here. Here it is, by my guy, Lauren Michaels Harris. Lauren, how do you fix this? This is a little blurry right now.
I don't know.
If you guys didn't already know, right now we are in Chicago, and this is my first time here. Lovely hospitality, lovely city, and I'm just super excited to be here for today. And
it looks good like this. You should leave it.
Hey, shh.
Oh, sorry.
I'm live. Can you go upstairs, please? So, everybody, thank you so much for dropping these comments. Hi, Dano. Hi, family. Beautiful family and friends. Loving the crown. I had to rock it for my guy, David, because the amount of golden nuggets that he's going to drop, I can make another crown out of the gold because it is. I hope you guys got your pens. I hope you guys got your notebooks ready because we are about to drop some fire. But before we get into that, I got to see it. I'm surprised nobody hasn't dropped one yet. Can I get a hashtag positivity posse just so I know you guys are rocking with me, rocking with David, just to know that you're enjoying the fire content and that you're enjoying all of the golden nuggets that we have to bring for you today. It's just such a great day, man. I have so much energy that the green screen can't even capture it all. You can still see the aura around the body, and it's just time to go, man. It's time to go. But before we bring David on, we have one more thing that we have to do, and I did promise it to you guys last week, so I didn't forget. Here we go. You guys are killing it. Hello, Amanda. It is amazing that you're actually watching this right now, because the first time David was on, I remember you said you were transitioning into a new career, and that's actually what we're going to be talking about today. So, spoiler alert for you guys, we're going to be talking about transitioning from one career to another, and also mentoring. So, I'm so happy to see you. I hope everything has been going great with you as well. Hashtag Positivity Posse. Thank you so much, Jeanette. Lauren's right there chilling. But thank you. I appreciate the comment, Lauren. Happy New Year, everyone. Yeah, so before we bring David on, let's get right to it. I forgot to bring my book with me, 511 tip suggestions on how to live a happy and rewarding life. But you guys are lucky that I have a really good memory, because I always remember this last one, because it's probably the most important one. And I hope you guys can really, resonate with this. So last week I did number 510. This week, since it's the last episode and we're wrapping it all up, I have to give you number 511, and we have to send the book off. We have to leave it here in 2021 and bring in the new book for 2022. But here is the last tip in that book. Here it is. Number 511, call your mother. And what better time to do that now than now? I mean, this is the best time of the year to do it. We're going into a new year. We want to make sure that everything's going strong. And we just got to make sure that the energy is there and that our old wounds have healed, just to make sure that when we burst into 2022, you see this right here? It's going to be our year. It's going to be Dano's year. It's going to be David's year. The hashtag Positivity Posse's year. Let's go, man. You guys have no idea how excited I really am just to be here to bring you guys this great content. So always make sure that even if you're on bad terms, you never know when it's somebody's last day. It may sound a little morbid, but it's the truth. You never know when today might be somebody's last day on earth. I mean, there's somebody being born right now, and there's somebody passing on to the next life. So always make sure that you take the opportunity to call your mother, and also tell that person, whoever it may be that you have in your life, never waste an opportunity to tell somebody you love somebody as well. That's also another tip. So there you go. You got a 2-for-1 special for today. And now you guys already know what time it is. I got to bring my guy, David. And David, I didn't even tell him about the trip that we had, but I'll save that for, that'll probably be the start of the new season, just because that energy behind those pictures, you already know that was fire. It was a super, super fire weekend. So without further ado, drum roll, please. Have you guys ever seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and they're doing the drum roll? Let's get it. It's time to bring David on the show. Let's go. David, how's it going, man?
How are you? Positive Posse's on now, isn't it? And I got a bug. It says, "Where's Mom?" Right here. So I'm all there for her and all there for what's going on. So great beginning there.
Oh yeah. So thank you, David, so much for being here. If you guys already remember, and I know y'all remember because y'all notebooks, you ran out of space in the entire notebook. You bought a fresh one. I know y'all did, because David in part 1 was dropping golden nugget after golden nugget after golden nugget. And now he's come back again to shed some more light, some more inspiration, some more encouragement, whatever you may need in your hard times right now. David, thank you so much for being here for part 2.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be great. Great. I'm ready.
Yeah, let's get it. So look, it's actually all good books. So thank you, David, for all of your constant support, man. You really don't know how much that means to me. And just the fact that if you're here with the Positivity Posse, Positivity Posse, we're all rocking right now. That's what I wanted to say. That's why Pocky came out. We're all rocking right now, and I'm just so excited to be able to bring this content. So let's get to the good stuff.
Okay.
Grab your pens, grab your papers, because it's time to get to it. So, David, why would somebody, or what are some reasons that somebody will want to transition from where they are right now to take on something that's totally new to them?
I think, like we talked in the first video, we talked about passion and people having a desire to do what's important to them and what they really feel their purpose and their legacy will be. And that is, I think, the biggest reason that people will be willing to take the risk and go from one job in one industry to another job in a completely different industry, and really make it work for themselves, because they really know that this is what's driving them. This is what makes them wake up in the morning. So I think that is the biggest reason that people will take that leap of faith and go for it, and go where their heart tells them to go, and begin to build. And that's really what I see in the field, and with the different individuals that I help. I do talk about the veterans a lot, and I am on a board of a veteran transition group. And you recently saw the pictures of that, but I think also I do help and mentor a lot of young people that are doing the same thing, as well as adults now. So I do have a good perspective of this topic, and I'd be glad to share whatever you'd like me to.
Oh yeah, so there's actually two different perspectives that I want you to shed some light on. What's the number one fear-based, I guess, not emotion, because fear is emotion, but for young people, what are they most afraid of when it comes to transitioning from one career to the next? And then after you touch on the young people, talk about the veteran community too, just in case there's any veterans right now that might be going through the same thing. So what are some of the biggest reasons why the young people will be scared and the veterans will be scared?
Well, I think the young people are scared because they're beginning to, for the very first time in their life, they're beginning to get sort of a comfort zone in terms of having a job, having an income, having the ability to pay their own bills, having the ability to meet people outside of work and be able to afford the outbound activities. For the very first time, they can do all these things. And so leaving that and going after a job that may be completely different and may have to start them again over where they worked so hard for 3 years to get, that would be a scary thing. And I think that is probably the number one reason young people probably stay in the position that they're in, because of the comfort level and the success that they're getting, through that particular job is meeting their expectations of what they had in themselves, even though it isn't where their passion is, and it isn't necessarily the best thing for them long term. They're at that critical point of success, of beginning success, that is special to them in terms of their expectation of themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that answers the young person, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Because I remember when I took that leap of faith as well, I thought that college, what they say about college, that's the ultimate safety net. That's the last layer before you jump into the real world. So you definitely spoke to me on that one. So yeah, you really covered that question.
What you did with that, what you did is really special, and what you're doing with the videos and what you're doing with the community and your talent in terms of communication and timing is extremely impressive. So I think you did the right thing, and and I think you're growing and developing, and you're engaging, and you're getting out in the community, and that's what you really have to do in life. You can have all the education, all the degrees in the world, but if you're scared to get out there and meet people and engage and make the world a better place, what are the degrees worth? Absolutely nothing. So I think your choice was wonderful, and I think that you did the hard thing, and you're continuing to develop and grow and figure things out, but you're doing it in a field that means something to you. Yeah. And so that's you're a role model and an example for young adults to grab onto, in terms of they may have that degree, they may have this or that, but they also may be unhappy, right? So go where your heart tells you to go, and because you can build as a young person. You have plenty of time to build your foundation and your individual accolades that you want to accomplish. So don't be scared. And I know it's a little scary, but if you do it, you'll be a lot happier individual long term.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you so much for your kind words. But, I'm going to flip it back to you guys in the positivity process. If it wasn't for you guys, sending me positive messages and always interacting, then none of this will be possible. So thank you, David. You've played a huge role in it, and I don't even really think you've understood. But now, I think one of the biggest reasons why I was able to do it so confidently is because I decided to stop trying to figure out what's going to go wrong and what's going to go versus, what's going to go right and why I should do that. Now, David, you have a lot of experience in career transitioning. What are some of the biggest benefits that people can obtain if we're going to flip the perspective here right now, what people really need to talk about? What are some of the biggest advantages of following your heart and transitioning into something that's completely brand new?
The positives that I have found, and I've been doing this for almost 5 years, and it's very intense, and I'm very active with the individuals that are participating. And like I said, it's from young and old, and it ranges from 5 years of experience to 25 years on the veteran side, and for the young people, they're transitioning from college into the workforce, right? But I think personal health is just so huge benefit and a positive. I bet you anything, you feel so much better when you go to work now than you did when you were going to college, right? So making that move and having that healthy personal health is just, you can't put a price tag on that. Also, I think, in terms of what I see in the field when people do make the transition to something that is important to them, I think I see a personal self-confidence and a personal self-worth go way up. People are really, really into doing what they really want to do and having those moments for themselves. And so I think their personal confidence, also a personal sense of accomplishment. When I moved it back to DC and I got my driver's license, it was such a big deal. And I mean, I know it was such a personal accomplishment. And I got, this DC driver's license. I'm part of the DC community. It really made me feel great. And I think if you do things like that and you do that kind of work, then in terms of the transition and what you're really passionate about, you'll feel that same great energy and level and happiness. So, and also, what are you doing? You're finding what your passions are and what your goals are, and it's all intertwining with what's really important to you as an individual. So that's very exciting, and that's extremely rewarding and a huge benefit.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much the positives. And then let's spin it off, and let's say that you do go after, I want to finish on this, like if you go after your passion and you work really hard and you start working at it and you think this is what was right for you, you may find that it isn't right for you, or it may not have been what you thought it was, or, this isn't exactly what I wanted to do. Like if you started a gym and you have to clean it every night, this isn't really what I thought of when I was going to have a gym. I thought I'd just work out every day and everything would be wonderful, right? So sometimes you realize when you do make that transition and you do a new job, you realize that you just needed a break from what you were doing. Mm-hmm. And that I see a lot, and I see it a lot in public service, like firefighters and policemen. When they get a break, they try to become insurance or they join different companies, and they find out that this structure isn't good for me, and so they end up going back to what they knew and what they really did enjoy. They just needed a mental break. They just needed to get out of that situation for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
One of my family friends was a firefighter. He went into a different field, and now he's joining the firefighting team again in District of Columbia. So I think having that break can also lead you back to where you began, and you have a different and positive perspective of that. So I don't want it all to be like you have to leave or you have to do this or that. No, go your own journey, because your journey may find you back where you started in a much healthier place.
Yeah, and that's actually a perfect segue. I don't mean to throw out your business out here, but I remember when we shared that weekend in DC that you were saying, hey, well, you were just saying that it was such a big accomplishment when you got your driver's license, and now you Uber everywhere. So
That's true. That's true. At the time, I had a car, though, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it was just being part of the community was really what really. I was a Washingtonian, you know, and I had my license, and I was, you know, I was part of this city. And so I really that was what it was all about. But yeah, I don't have a car anymore.
Yeah, and you know, the biggest lesson about that is, you know, you think that, you know, that one goal that you achieve is everything, and once you get it, it's like, okay, well, what happens now? And a lot of people don't really understand that, you know, you really have to focus on the bigger picture, because once you achieve those, you know, minor goals, or you take those one step at a time, then that's when you can really see over the mountain, and you can see all the great things that you can achieve. So this was the segue that I wanted to get to, is at what point can somebody really look at their career and say, okay, maybe I'm just looking at this as a wrong, you know, in the wrong sense of light, or the wrong frame of glasses. So at what point does somebody say, hey, maybe I'm just making a false assessment, or hey, I need to go because I know this is what I feel in my heart? Is there a tipping point? Have you seen anybody in that tipping point?
I've seen people like become at that tipping point where they're exhausted emotionally and physically and mentally, and they've sort of lost what we talked about in the first video, which is you have to have that spirituality, occupation, and physical health elements all entwined and in balance. Mm-hmm. And what I find with people that are exhausted and physically not taking care of themselves and unhappy at their work, you know, and they're probably not even spiritually in tune anymore as well, right? Yeah. So I think that, you know, people sometimes just need that break in terms of and trying something new, just to regain, you know, that self-confidence and have the time to maybe take care of themselves and rebuild their inner strength in order to take on the next challenge of life. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with it. What I recommend in transition, if you're going to do that, you know, just think about the financial aspects of it, so it isn't so hard on you. You don't need that stress as well on the financial side. So this is something you got to, I would recommend really thinking about in terms of a 3 to 6 month plan, and give yourself your financial backing so that is not a stress trigger, you know, while you're doing the transition of wherever you end up. And that can just overall, you know, help that particular time in your life. Mm-hmm. But I do again recommend, you know, doing what you need to do in order to get those three balances back as best as you can as an individual, because that's when you're going to be happy. That's when you're going to grow as an individual, and that's when you're going to really start to find out what is my potential and how do I get to it. Oh yeah, and now David, you were just talking about that 3 to 6 month plan. Now, mm-hmm. Is there like a top 3 steps that someone should do? Or if you just had to give an overall, because I know every situation is different, what would be like the top 3 steps that somebody that's watching this right now, maybe they're going through and they're saying, wow, David is speaking to me right now, and I just don't know where to start. Do you have like maybe a top 3 steps that somebody should do right now in order to have that courage to do what they want to do? Again, like what we talked about in the first video was, you know, have your own agenda, right? Yeah. So I think, you know, make sure you know what your agenda is and what your goals are, right? And then you can say, okay, I'm in this current job, and I'm going to make the very best of it, and I'm going to figure out my finances. So I would recommend the first thing to do is do a budget of your monthly expenses, so you know how much money you need each month in order to execute a transition, you know, successfully, and not have that financial burden, because finance is very, very can be very, very stressful. Mm-hmm. So figure out your budget. That would be the first thing. Second thing would be, you know, come to peace with yourself that you're going to do this, and really, you really know that this is what you want to do in your heart, and that will really help you and give you the courage to do it. And the third thing is, you know, realize that we're talking about transitioning from one career to another industry. Okay, this is the hardest thing you can do. And so, realize that, a lot of people that have done this in the past, a lot of people that have experienced this, went through hard times too, to get from one place to another. I'm sure you didn't just wake up one day and end up being where you are right now, right? You had to work at it.
Yeah.
And so I think, and you had to take that risk. And I bet what I just said, it falls right into your life to a certain extent. And, you have to really, understand that this is the hardest thing, and not to be hard on yourself. And that's what I said in the first. It's easy to be really hard on yourself when you're trying to do a transition and the transition isn't working out exactly the way you want it to work out, right?
Yeah.
You find out, oh my God, there's 58 things that I didn't know that I have to get done. So transitioning is the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it will be, if it is meant for you and if it is the right fit, the most rewarding execution, professional thing you will ever do in your life. And so I do. I'm right there with you in terms of being a teammate and helping you through that journey. But ultimately, it is your agenda. It is your passion that you need to follow.
Yeah, and now if there is a negative Nancy right here, I mean not Nancy because there's actually there's somebody watching right now, Nancy. So I'm not talking about you, but let's just say there's a hater right now watching, right? And they're like, man, David has never been in my shoes, or why should I listen to David? Would you be able to give a personal experience of maybe the hardest transition career-wise that you had to go through, and why it was so important that you did what you did? Just so if there's anybody watching right now that's a naysayer, that you can just shut their yap. So share with us, if you're transparent enough about the hardest transition that you've had to go through.
No, first of all, I mean, I started off minimum wage when I graduated from college, so I had to bust my, I had to work extremely hard to go from minimum wage to where I am today. So I don't need anybody saying nothing to me. Yeah. But on the other hand, I think the biggest transition challenge I had is when I was at a massive commercial bank. I was extremely successful at that. I was rocking and rolling at that, and I got an opportunity to go to Capitol Hill and begin an initiative there. And I took the job because I've always had a passion and a desire to, engage on Capitol Hill and understand the different buildings, how they work, and how the government functions, and all of that. And I went and did that, and what I gave up was a tremendous amount of perks. I had season tickets to the Washington Nationals, and I could go to whatever sporting event on the planet. I could entertain as much as I want. Nobody even would think twice about it. To a very budgeted, structured, political, totally different environment, completely different. And it really took me a year to adjust to that and get better at what I had to do in that particular culture, because it was so different than what I came from. I came from just, fast, get it all done, to slow down, nothing gets done fast, take it easy, sit back, so it was just a very different transition, but I adjusted and I became very good at it. And in the end, I was able to help the Capitol Police and the architect of the Capitol with all the knowledge I had with the micro lending, and was able to establish that during the shutdown, and that program is still in place today. In case the government ever shuts down, the Capitol Police and the people that are supporting the U.S. Capitol can get non-interest financing to get them through, and then they just pay back when they get their check, because the government pays them even though they didn't work anyway. So I think that was that. I adjusted in my culture and eventually got back to what I really enjoyed as the assignment came to an end. So that was a time assignment. I sort of took a huge risk to go do it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But of course, I got back to where I was really good at, and that go again. Try something. If it doesn't work, you can always go back, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And so that's sort of what happened with me. And I've always been really a frontline, engaging person and trying to help the community as well as people and their businesses. So that is really what I enjoy. And so I got back to that. And so that's an example of somebody, trying and, doing well, but wanting to return ultimately and it all working out.
Now let's take a step back, because you just talked about two different frames of mind or mindsets, if you will. And you said there was one frame of mind where you said everything is go, go, go. I got to get everything done. And then you just said a few years go by, or however long it was. And now you have this completely different mindset. Well, hey, let me take it easy, focus on what I need to do, one thing at a time, and everything will work itself out. Is there a younger person perspective that you want to recommend for them? Or is it just across the board that everybody just needs to slow down and focus on what they're doing?
I think it's pretty much across the board, and also with the young people, I think I one of the things that I would do better now than I did in the past was enjoy the ride, enjoy the moment, and that I really do encourage the young people to do, because you just go through this once, and try to make sure that when you do have a success, when you do start figuring things out, that you enjoy that, because we all have to go through it, and you're going through it, and you're having that wonderful moment of success, and don't think it's just expected of you. Try to enjoy it, because that was one thing I just never did, and I think if I could go back, it would have been so much more fun. That's all. so enjoy the little wins that you have along the way, and the little promotions, and I don't want to say little promotions, the promotions that you get along the way, and just really enjoy, the ride. Mm-hmm. And I did talk about that in the first video, but I just want to reinstate that, as we're talking today.
Yeah. And I can tell you that even from that first episode, part 1 that we had, my mindset has changed kind of exactly in the way that you just said. It changed tremendously. Before, I would think, okay, once I get that job promotion, or once I get that raise, or once I get that car, whatever it may be, then I would be happy.
Then you're going to be happy, right?
Now that I know, it's just the wrong way to think about it, because I'm going to take it in a spiritual perspective. So let's think about it like this. If you're happy now and you're focusing on that emotion, that is then leaving space for you to receive more of what you want. But if you're saying, okay, it only until that point, then I will be happy. Well, think about that. What does that imply? That right now you're not as happy as you should be, and your vibrations aren't as great as what they need to be in order to obtain that. So that's your negative side taking over and saying, hey, well, then it's conditional, and it needs to be unconditional, whether it's unconditional love or showing kindness to somebody that's nice to you or not nice to you. It all ties in. So I definitely, you just emphasize that point for me, and I just that resonated with me 100%. So now we're halfway through, and we have to take our commercial break just to hear a quick word from our sponsors. But don't go anywhere. Have your pens, have your notebooks ready. I know you're burning through halfway. It's already done. It is already done. So we're gonna hear a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
except I received this insight about a title called Prisoner of War. The book.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. That was just a quick word from our sponsors. And now we are going to transition into the second half of the episode. It's all about mentoring. David, tell us about your background with mentoring and how did you get into it?
I sort of just fell into mentoring because I was working on Capitol Hill, and I met a lady, and she was a famous individual, pretty much world famous individual, and she ran a Asian minority leadership group that comes here to DC, and they asked me to join the DC advisory board, and one of my responsibilities there was to mentor the students when they came in. And they're all about 22. Most of them are 22. They're about to graduate. So they're sort of coming to DC for a very important internship at one of the government agencies. Mm-hmm. And they get the experience there. And then I talk to them about finance and budgeting and all of the financial literacy. Mm-hmm. And then they just naturally, maybe one or three of them want me to mentor them. And so over a 6-year period, you can imagine that's like 18 individuals. And so those individuals are no longer, in school. I haven't been able to do it the last 2 years because of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. But I'm actually seeing one on Friday. This coming a week from today or tomorrow, I'll be seeing them, because they're in town for the holidays, etc. Mm-hmm. And I'll be mentoring the others, over the course of the year. So it's just ongoing, and then I'll have a new group coming in, I guess, in the summertime. So it's just an ongoing process, and I also mentor young adults working in different veteran service organizations, and try to help them as much as I humanly possibly can as well, and answer any of their questions. And it's all so different. Like each person's a unique individual. Like one is IT, one is I don't even know what a gamer is. I have to research that. I don't know what a gamer is. So I have to sort of educate myself on the new industries and the new what's going on now, and become familiar with it so I can bring value to them. But really the value is sort of a process, and I'd be happy to share that with you.
Oh yeah. And now for the people that are out there that are maybe looking for a mentor, because not everybody can be mentored by the great David Vardeman, if they're going out there and they're shopping around, what should they look for in a mentor, and how do you spot a fake?
I think it's hard for somebody to find a mentor. The mentor sort of sees the talent in you and wants to help you. I think if you're looking for a mentor, it would be mostly for industry purposes or life coach type things that you might seek, right? Mm-hmm. So you might be seeking some help, and it's always good to seek help within your work if you want to learn more, and if you want to get a better understanding of the industry you're in. It's always good to get somebody that's been there a while and that can really guide you towards success, right? And I think the biggest issue with a mentor is trust. You both have to trust each other that you're out for the best interest of both individuals. Because without trust, and you have a mentor, it can go down a very dark path. So I think that's a really important thing. Take the time to trust the individual. Take the time to know they're sincere. Okay, and so the long term. I always see mentorships as a lifetime commitment, and so it's very important that person trusts you. Yeah. And I have a friend who just tragically lost their mother, and then just a few weeks later, I just got an email. His father passed away. And I was there for that individual, both professionally and now as a friend, and it's all real, and he can count on me in terms of being there when he needs me in any capacity. So he knows that, and I know that, and I hadn't spoken to the person in years. Okay, so I think just being there when they need you is critical, as on the mentor side, and on the person getting it, having that trust with that individual that they're going to be there, and that it's unconditional in terms of timing. That's critical as well.
Yeah, and I know there was something that you said on the first episode, is that you shouldn't treat people like a dollar sign too. And that's one of the things that when I got my mentor, I always thought that everybody was out to get me, or they just wanted me for my money. And the list went on and on, because when you have that scarcity mindset, that's all you're really into. But we just all have to push through that, and we have to give a little trust in order to receive a little trust. Now, as far as mentoring, David, I'm pretty sure anybody that we speak to that has mentored with you can say nothing but the best thing. But with this question here, we're going to take it into your perspective. What have you learned about yourself through the practice of mentoring other people? Were there some great things that you learned about yourself, some not so great things, and how did you use this process in order to better yourself?
I think I've used this process to better myself in terms of communication and understanding different people's point of view and what they're thinking at the time when they're being mentored. Okay. Well, the first thing I learned was, that whoever these people that I'm mentoring are, if you can get the mindset that these people are way smarter than I am. I mean, these are brilliant people coming here in the District of Columbia, and it puts the focus for the individual. If you know that they're smarter than you, it helps you realize that you're there to help them, not make them something that they're not, or create some magnificent creature of society, right? Because they're going to figure it out themselves sooner or later. So focus on helping is something I've learned, and what do you do when you're with somebody that's more smarter than you? You learn from them every bit as much as they learn from you. I'm learning gaming industry, which it's like video games, I think. And so, it's these things that you learn, they're in the know. These the young people and the young adults, they're in the know. They know what's going on and a little bit better in terms of pop culture and everything else than you do, right? So it's really rewarding, to learn from them as well. So and that creates like a partnership and a mutual level of respect, that you can start with. And you're not the genius that's teaching the little ones, That's really, you're not going to be a successful mentor if you're thinking that you're that. Okay. So that was the first thing that I thought was really, really important that I learned. The second is you got to remember, when you're mentoring individuals, they are nervous. Okay. They are nervous. And so what you have to do is you have to know that what you have to put them in a situation that is comfortable to them. So if I'm getting a bunch of college kids coming in and that are about to graduate, where would they be comfortable? I have to think about that. They don't have to think about that. The mentor has to think about that.
Is it at the bar?
It's sort of like that. It's where they're comfortable is like, they're comfortable when they're sitting in an environment where you're the professor writing on the board, the points that you want, and they're taking notes.
Yeah.
So the best way to make them feel more comfortable, best way for them to be in their comfort zone is to be, taking notes and being a student, in the mentorship process. That's what I found with them. So a safe environment, it doesn't have to be what I just said, but you need to, as a mentor, you better put them in a safe environment where their nerves can be at ease. Because they're nervous about you. They don't really know you. They're a little nervous that they're there. You need to really work hard to make them feel comfortable, because that they are important. You're not important.
Yeah.
You may think they're the greatest thing on earth, but trust me, what did I say? 360 million people, and you're one of them, right? Yeah. So I think that the mentor needs to realize their role, and their role is to is the person that they're trying to assist. It is not themselves. So that's something I learned by myself, in terms of bettering myself. I have a couple more lessons I learned, but I'll let you add any point you'd like there.
Yeah, well, I think there has to be a degree of humbleness as well, like you said, in order to make sure that the focus is on them. They're the spotlight, not you. And I feel like a lot of people, especially nowadays, they don't really take the time to see the perspective or wear somebody else's shoes, so to speak, to make sure that they're communicating effectively and the person is actually getting what
yeah, right. That you're gonna lose a young person if you make them uncomfortable. Trust me.
Oh yeah. And then you might get the cops called on you too, depending on
well, I mean, you just don't you just want them to be in a comfort level that they will grow in. And trust is built over time, like I said. So the longer you get to know them, the longer and then it becomes more of a partnership, friendship, and not so much, especially as they get into the workforce and they're working for major companies and things. They have more questions about transition work and promotion levels and things like that. Those are the questions that come up now with those mentors I've done now. They're all out. They're all professional working people now. So their questions are very focused in terms of what they want from me. So what they want from me, they're interested in my experience. They're not interested in me telling them what to do.
Yeah.
Say that again. They're interested in my experience. They're not interested in me telling them what to do. They're smarter than you, right? So they can figure it out themselves. They're just looking for a perspective of what I've done and experienced in life, and then come to a conclusion for themselves of what they want to do. And that's very important. And when you're mentoring, not to think that your role is to tell them what to do. And young people really, and young adults are really not looking for that anyway. They look at me and they say, I want to know your experience, and I want to know, what you've learned in life, and then I will figure it out in my own way, in terms of what I want to deal with that.
Now let's take somebody that actually has they don't have that willingness to learn, or they just don't think that they don't even need a coach at all. What advice would you give to these people that think that they know it all and that having a coach is pointless, and that they're in that scarcity mindset? What do you have to say to those people?
Well, I think first of all, they have every right to think that, right? They're living their own life, so they can think that way, but let them get kicked around in life for a little while, and I think they'll come to a different conclusion. so that's you have to let individuals grow and develop and fail and come to their own conclusions in order to be ready for mentorship, or they have to be willing, to look towards a mentor as a positive. If they're not at that place, there's not much a mentor can do about it. There's not much anybody who's wanting to help can do about it. They're in a place in their life that they need to work through and get through on their own and figure things out. And come to the conclusion. I think I didn't really get good mentorship until I figured out that one line of finance was not right for me and another one was. When I got into the one that was right for me, I found very strong mentors that would overlook and make sure that I was on a good path. So being in that right business set, the mentors will come because the passions will all align together. Okay, so if you're struggling at your work and you don't really like it, it's a lot harder to find a mentor to do, with something that you don't like doing, or you're good at it but not really great at it, right? So a mentor will come when you do find that right industry and you are doing work that you're meant to do, and your passion and your enthusiasm is there. It will attract other people, and they'll want. I'm very attracted to people that are passionate about what they want to do, and it sort of just naturally comes together. I do not force any mentorships at all. In terms of.
And that's a big thing that we talk about is due to the law of attraction. And you know what they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I was it's so amazing to me, and I'm grateful as well that I've had people that come into my life that are mentors. You and Lauren and Oracle, my mother and my brother, and all these people that are in my support system. So I've really never had to worry about somebody trying to come in and be deceitful. And I think that also with, where I grew up and having the street smarts, you're able to really read people for what their true intentions are. So you can see that coming from a mile away. You have somebody blowing smoke up in your ear saying, hey, you're going to be the next big thing, this, and that. And it's like, okay, but do you really want me for me, or do you just want me because you see the value that they bring to the table? And I think that's number one, hands down. Like you said, that trust factor is the hardest thing to really find. And luckily, when you put out good into the world, you get good back. And that's why I've been meeting all of these great people. Like David, they don't even know about the weekend that we had. An incredible time. But that was, like you said, it's because you have to attract those right frequencies, and you have to attract those right people into your life.
And a mentor really should just try to encourage the talent of the individual and encourage them to continue that talent. Mm-hmm. A mentor's job is not to make somebody rich or get a right job, or you just want to encourage one's talent and reaching one's potential. Mm-hmm. And a lot of mentors, I don't want to say a lot of mentors, but there's a perception that mentors are just trying to get somebody at a certain job or et cetera, and that really is not going to help them in their long journey of life. A mentor should really be there, and that was my last point is allow them to disappear. Okay. Like young people and adults and people, they'll your mentorship may only last, a few months, 4 or 5 months. It'll have an impact for the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. So allow them to disappear and allow them to go do what they're meant to do, and let them explore life, because they'll come back to you, and when the need is there, they'll come back when the timing is right. They'll come back when they're struggling. Yeah. And so you need to be there for them during those times, and allowing them to disappear is so important, because they need to find their own way. And that can be a challenge for a mentor, because they think they created something that they really didn't. The other person is fully capable, and again, they're smarter than you, and so they're fully capable of engaging life and learning and figuring things out for themselves. What your role is to be there when they're down, or be there when they're up, or be there to help to encourage their potential, encourage all that amazing talent. So that is what I try to do. And that's the lessons I've learned, and I've learned through good times, bad times, and failures and successes, and so it's not something that I just came up with out of 3 weeks of mentoring.
Yeah, right.
The Boys and Girls Club. No.
Yeah, right. And you just last week. Yeah.
These are things that I've really thought about and learned, and they're great lessons to your audience and to anyone who ends up listening to this. I really hope that they take heart and follow a really positive path for the person that they're mentoring. It's not about you; it is about them.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they're paying you, right? Is to say, hey, hey, what do I need to do better? And if you're thinking that it's just for a paycheck and that, hey, well, I was able to pay my gas for the week or I was able to pay my bills, then that is totally the wrong way. And that is the reason why so many people start to get a bad image or a bad perception. And since one person was like that, one mentor, then they think that all of them.
Right. Yeah, that would be really tough. That would be tough. That would be tough if you had your first mentor not be a positive experience. That would be really tough.
So how do you tell somebody to just establish that trust? Is there a time in your life where you had your trust shattered with somebody, and were you able to reconnect, and what were the steps that you took?
I think the that's a loaded question.
Yeah, right.
I think I think that the terms of connection with a mentor comes when you're doing in line with the work that really is important to you and is ties with your passion and your potential. And the right person will come. And so what I say to the people that had a bad experience with a mentor first is that, were you in the job that was really meaningful to you and special for you, right? And probably the answer is no.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that when they start to figure out where their paths are and what the right person is for them, then that will come, and those people will come, and they come at the most unexpected times. And some people say that mentors are people that that aren't mentoring, that wouldn't call themselves a mentor to you. They're just mentoring, right? And I've had some wonderful Americans, just great Americans mentoring me through my journey over the last 8 years. So they've definitely fallen into that category. Mine is more structured, like if you were mentoring for the Boys and Girls Club, or if you're mentoring for not-for-profit organizations and different people within that. If you're mentoring for drug abuse or any of the different type topics of adults that are going through those type of problems, I think that's the kind of structure that I come from, and that was the advice that I gave. Okay. Yeah. But great mentors can just be there for you through your life and help you and guide you, when you're not even expecting it.
Yeah. Now, David, you already know, as you were here for part 1, we always wrap up the same way every episode. And we only have about 2 minutes in order for you to shed some light. Grab your pens, grab your papers. It's time to write. It's just time or absorb it. You can always go back to, the replay and then write it down as well. But in 2 minutes, if somebody was going through their deepest, darkest time right now and they're watching this, what advice would you want to give to them?
I think like I did the first one I talked about, people at their very, 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 very darkest moment. And so I'd like to talk about somebody who's struggling and they may be losing hope. And that person, it started with when I met you that evening. I got in an Uber, and during that drive home, and you went in some SUV and fancy SUV, and off you went. But I had to get a little Uber, so I get in my little Uber, and the Uber driver was not going to pick me up originally, but they thought, just one more ride, and then I can go home and rest, right? Mm-hmm. So they almost didn't come, but they did come, and they picked me up, and I was in a good mood after the event, and so I was like, I talked to everybody, and I don't know if they want me to talk to them in an Uber, but I talked to them anyway. So I'm going home, and we got into a long conversation, and he was an Afghani refugee whose father was assassinated by the Taliban, and over time, when America came and liberated Afghanistan, he became a translator, and he worked as a translator for women's rights throughout Afghanistan. And he met his wife in that program. So they both were translators for the benefit of women's rights in Afghanistan. And when we were going home, I was talking to him a little bit. And of course, I do transition for military veterans. So I thought, I was looking at him, and in the rear view, we had masks at that time, right? And in that rear view mirror, I could only see his eyes. And when we were talking about the transition program and us helping it was the most intense look I've ever seen in my life through that mirror of eyes looking back at me.
The mirror didn't shatter, right?
No, the mirror didn't. It could have shattered, but it would. But the eyes were the eyes of desperation. The eyes were of hope, and that just totally got right to my soul. And I said, I am going to help this individual. I just said that to myself. I said, no more Afghani refugees that are overqualified. And I learned a little bit about what he did, of course. And I felt it was totally overqualified and needed just a little bit of a help from some Americans. Somebody's got to step up and help. And so when we got back to my condo, he wrote his email on a piece of paper, which is a bill, right? So he folded one of his bills. He said, I don't really need this. And he wrote his email on it, and he gave it to me. And I said, I'll email you in a day or two, right? And I remember I just remember all the times I did take cards and I did tell people I'd email them, and it was sort of awkward. And, you say what you need to say and you don't follow through. But so I was sitting there at my computer and I was like, is it weird if I email them? Is this going to be kooky? Is this going to be like strange? And I just looked up and I just said, you know what? You only live once. I said I was going to help this person, and I'm not going to not do what I say. And so I typed in the email and I, introducing myself and what I could do for them. I hit send. That person then sent the email back, and over time I got him into the transition program. And then in the military transition program, it was not easy. I had to go through the board, et cetera. But and now over 6 or 7 families are in that program right now. So the program went from nothing to
That's what I'm talking about, David. Yeah.
So I got him in the program, and then his wife was stuck at I told you was stuck at that horrible airport in Kabul, and he was extremely brave. He never told me, during the time when I'm getting him into a program, and he's interviewing jobs right now, but I got getting him in the program and all. He never really told me how dangerous the situation was for his wife. He was so brave, and his wife is so brave. She went to that airport and didn't have anything but the clothes on her back, and got to a checkpoint, told the corporal that if he doesn't grab her hand and pull her free, then she could be assassinated. And that United States corporal grabbed her arm and pulled her to freedom. And so she's back in the United States now. She came from Kabul. She doesn't know anything about the United States. She's a refugee here with her husband. They're reunited. They're having, they just got their own place, and they're interviewing for jobs now. And I took them. They went from an Uber ride to being into the program, and then I took them to the gala of the military transition group.
Yeah,
gala.
Showing me pictures about that. Yeah, and then they were just.
And so he went from the Uber ride to getting the transition. God saved everyone, had his wife, bravest person I've met in a long time, come to the United States with just the clothes on her back. And then at the gala, he got a standing ovation from General Petraeus and other great Americans, for their commitment to the freedom of women in Afghanistan and all the risks that those two have taken.
It all started with you, David, just being of service to the other people, and
right, and that's the point. That's the point. Yeah. You have to identify somebody who is struggling. You have to identify somebody who's in pain. You have to identify who the person is that you want to help, and you absolutely, positively have to take action. And you have to be brave to do that. I'm not saying it's a brave. She is 1,000 times more brave, grabbing that corporal's arm than I will ever be in my life. But you have to be brave to type up an email that might be a little uncomfortable for you and send it, because if I didn't do that, nothing of this would have occurred. And so I think it's so important to help others. So if somebody's in a dark place, don't be afraid to try to help. Don't be afraid to make a difference in their life, because you can. And I hope this story helps inspire you to go and do that, because it does happen.
Yeah, it's over, David. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Sorry.
No, we're all good.
It's a great story, so I just want to make sure you got it.
It's all good. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in for the last episode of 2021 for Weekly Dose of Dano TV. David, thank you so much for all of your knowledge and just being so transparent. But now it's time for everybody to go have a great New Year's. Enjoy the holidays. Spend some time with your family because 2022, we are getting after it. So, David, thank you so much for everything. And I hope everybody has a great holiday season. And I'll see you next week for season 3 of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Thank you, David. Thank you so much for everything, man. We appreciate it. No problem. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, bye.
Stay safe and have a great weekend.